All right, hello, rockers, rollers, and heavy metal maniacs. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am absolutely thrilled today. I am chatting with the one and only Jamey Pacheco, of course, former drummer and founding member of the mighty Babylon A.D., and now has his own band, Duran Duran Duran, a cover band of Duran Duran. So very excited to have you on the show. How you doing, Jamey?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good.
It's a tribute band, not a cover band. It's a
Oh,
tribute.
sorry, tribute band. I apologize. That's what I
It's all
meant
good.
to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Um,
Duran times three.
Grand times three. Yeah, D3. Cool. Yeah, so excited to chat with you. I've been a fan of yours for many, many years, way back since high school when this fantastic album came out way back in the day. And I've followed your career for a long time. So yeah, very excited to chat with you. Well, let's start with D3 with Duran Duran Duran, and I want to know more. I've heard and seen the videos that you guys have put out, and it's incredible. It's amazing. I'm actually as big of a metalhead as I am. My first the first tape I ever bought with my own money was Duran Duran Rio. So I've always been a Duran Duran fan. And yeah, when you sent me, when we first started talking, and you sent me some videos of the band and some stuff you guys have done, some live stuff and some other stuff, I was completely blown away. I was so excited because I think not only do you guys stay true to the music, but you add some really cool touches to it as well. Um,
Yeah, one of the concepts, I mean, I wasn't really a Duran fan at all when I got the offer. It was in 2019. I had met my girlfriend at an audition with one of Derek's solo bands. He was doing kind of a blues thing at the time.
hmm,
And she came rolling in and she tried out and stuff, and her and I hit it off, and we kind of we played with Derek for a month or for maybe a couple months, supporting his whatever it was, one of his soul records or blues records. I forget which one it was. Um, I played on I played on a couple of the blues records with Derek and stuff like that, but I didn't play on his soul one. I think he did it all with drum machines, or I'm not really too sure about the whole thing. But we like put together like a band kind of to support it and shit like that. And you know, it just wasn't getting my rocks off, man. And I just really felt I wasn't really happy doing it. And so toward the end of 19, kind of like going into December and stuff. At the same time, I was doing like some pre-production work with my brother, who was alive at the time, and John Matthews, who's the guitar player in Babylon A.D. Um, and it was just the three of us. We were working on, new material and stuff. And then, Derek didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to, he just wanted to focus on the other thing that Ronnie and I were in, my girlfriend. And, I said to myself, man, if you can walk away from it that easy, then, I'm not gonna just, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not this thing. I want to, either do Babylon or I want to do something different. So, I made my mind up, man. And I just said, after 2017, we did Revelation Highway and stuff, and I was getting some like, statements back of like, not royalty statements, but just some statements back from Frontiers Records and stuff, like about, our advances and stuff and recoup and the reports and stuff. I just saying like, I don't think anyone really cares. I thought this record for sure was going to do great,
yeah.
and put a lot of time and effort and energy into it. And henceforward up to about, December of 19, I didn't tell anybody. I just put it up on my Facebook that I said former drummer of Babylon AD. About 10 minutes later, after I did that, I got an email from a guy, and I've known him for a long time, and his name is Bobby Cannon. And he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I just saw what you posted." He goes, and it wasn't a post, it was just, I was updating my, about information or whatever it was. I was
Right.
kind of making a low-key statement in a sense. And he goes, "Would you be into playing Duran Duran, you know, music?" He goes, I have a tribute band called Duran Duran Duran. And he goes, "We play some good places, and I got a booking agent, and I got, I got brand and all this stuff. And I go, I don't know, man, fuck, I'm a rock and roll guy.
Right.
I'm not really into that much. But I considered it, and then I talked to my girlfriend. I go, what do you, what would you think about, like, doing John Taylor's parts and getting into that? And she saw, wow, I go, that's a big task, girl. I go, John Taylor's freaking, he's the focus point of the band,
Yeah, he's
you
a
know.
monster bass player.
Now at the time, I didn't think very much of the music or the drumming or anything, but when we went into rehearsals, I learned a good lesson, man, because I'll tell you what, those tunes and the way they execute and the musicianship, the words, the melodies, and the songs, they just started growing on me, man. And I just started going, shit, this is good. This is good stuff. Great music. And so we committed, and we joined forces and stuff. And I did my thing. I got on the phone and got us gigs, used my name, slung it around. We had about 10 gigs I got like right away. Top shelf places. We're playing with Retro Junkie. We got some offers over at the Canyons over in Los Angeles. Some stuff like a Crystal Bay Casino in Tahoe, and we got. And then Ronnie and I were here in Vegas, and I nailed a couple gigs here in Vegas too at this place called the Rockstar Bar. And so we had about ten gigs. We had a couple other ones like in Fresno, all around California and shit like that. And about, I don't know, 5, 6 gigs in, Bobby he needed to take a break. I don't know what was going on with him personally, but he needed some time alone and time off. I said, no, 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 no. Listen, I go, I branded this band. I took photos of this band. I built a website and all that kind of shit. And I go, we gotta keep going. And he just couldn't do it. And we understood. But you know, my girlfriend, her mind is she used to be she's a retired attorney,
Oh,
and I understand the music business and and stuff. And we talked a little bit, and we made him an offer, and we negotiated a little bit, and then he decided to sell us the brand. So we did negotiating, and and the brand became ours. So we had this obligation to do these gigs, and I had been going to see the Rock Vault a couple times here in town, and I noticed like the cast concept that they had, and I didn't ever want to miss a gig ever again. So we scrambled around town, went to a bunch of gigs on Fremont Street and stuff, and we met like a lot of our cast. And we met like Paige DeFella, Julia Finger, Aaron Archer, Stephen Davis, who plays in Cameo, and met a lot of really cool people around town. Paige she's a fabulous, like, she's a co-singer, and she's in a lot of different acts and stuff, and she produces her own show too. Julia is like a really super cool powerhouse, Janis Joplin, bluesy type of singer. And you know, uh and we had some of the band from the Bay Area still too. Like we had the singer that we had, right? We had him still, and the keyboard player, and we had another vocalist. So what we did was we made a cast here in Vegas, and we made a cast in the Bay Area.
hmm.
And the more we started to getting into the music, the more I started like really enjoying, the challenge of actually playing it. And then when we were getting into more and more research and stuff, and getting more into like, adding tunes to the repertoire, I discovered this one live album that they did. It's called Duran Duran Live at Manchester, BBC. It was 1987, and Warren Cucurella was playing with them, and he
Hmm.
had this other cat playing. They had this other guy playing drums. This is only left. His name's Sterling Chambers, and Sterling Campbell, I think. Yeah, Sterling Campbell. Anyway, so the way they threw down was heavy, and it had the guitars were turned up, the drums were heavier and stuff. And I go, that is our model right there. That's what we need to do,
Excuse me.
Let's not try to play so perfect. Let's rough it up a little bit. Let's turn up, and I'm gonna Jamie the drums,
Yeah.
but I had to learn funk, man. I had to learn funk. I changed my girlfriend. She was more of a blues player. I was more of a rock player. And we had to get into the heads of being like funky, like
Yeah.
Nile Rodgers or, Verone, like Chic and shit like it. And so we had to shift gears and really drill in and really freaking work hard to get it to where, it was, to where it is right now. Um, Going back a little bit though, when Bobby was in the band and uh, a little bit like in 2000, and COVID shut everything down. So I said, at that time, if you reverse what I was just talking about back to then, um, I said, let's get our shit together. Let's go film some video. Let's record demos so we could kind of like lip sync to our demos. Just like, that I was taught, because I was signed, we did big budget videos, I mean, ones that cost like 250 grand sometimes. And you lip sync them and you make them as good as you can, I mean, there's no second, you your first impression of everything. So we found a place, we got a videographer, and we did 6 videos. And then I got the raw footage and I edited everything. I know how to do Premiere, and I do After Effects. I know motion typography and all that kind of shit. And I came up with these, our first demo, or our first video was Hungry Like the Wolf, and it came out kick ass, man.
Yeah.
And but I noticed, man, when we published it, no one really cared. I got a few hits here and there and stuff like that, and I put a lot of time into that, and I got a little butthurt, I guess. And then we did another one. We did Notorious, and then I just said, I had an epiphany. I go, people don't want to watch a 3-minute video. If we're gonna do something, we got to create a buzz. And people don't like watching reels either of a band. They like to watch. They want to know what's going on, like with your gigs and all that. So I came up with these commercial things, right? They're no longer than, a minute and 20 seconds, maybe not even like, maybe sometimes under a minute. It just starts off with a still, and it's boom, 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 boom. It's who, what, where, when, and why. And then it'll stop with a still, and I think maybe I shared a couple of those with you.
Yeah.
And I thought that those are super effective. And so I started doing those per gig, and we started blowing shit up with those promos and stuff, henceforward, after we started building the cast and stuff, and there was a lot of players that wanted to, play in and be in the cast. And the only deal is that, you just got to learn the repertoire. It's like about 24 songs, and we'll make you show offers. Me and my girl, we ran the whole thing. We're the band, we're the core, and we make offers to people. And if they don't want to do it, we had like 3 guitar players, had a couple of singers,
Hmm.
so like 4 co-singers, a couple in the Bay Area, a couple here in Vegas and stuff. And we make them offers and we make them guaranteed money. When you get home, we do payout on Tuesdays. You would net what you promised. So, we were paying, pretty freaking good, as opposed to like what people were getting after COVID, because, man, everybody kind of pulled back on the reins and said, hey, if you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
play, you can play, but we're not going to pay that much anymore, because we're trying to get back on our feet too, you know. Um, but the offers I got were good. I'm not saying they were great, but they were pretty the highest offers at that time that you could probably get. And so it was attractive for people to play in my outfit, because the payout was good. And not only that, we covered all the expenses, all the flights and everything like that.
Oh, nice.
Practices, we pay for practices. If they came over here, because I'm a photographer, my girlfriend is too, we did all the pictures and stuff like that. Um, what we do is we take individual shots, and I have a file like in Photoshop, and I have everybody in a layer and stuff. And so like when one person isn't available, I just switch on another layer and I compose the shot per gig for, for every, so the cast could be a little different per gig because it depends on availability,
Right. Right.
and logistics and money and shit like that. So, you know, besides just, falling in love with the repertoire and stuff, creating a business and creating, we have Ronnie and I have just the utmost passion and respect for Duran now because of really getting into exploring and learning and drilling into the genre. It's just a really, really gorgeous set of songs, and I can't say any more about it. It's been absolute joy, and especially being able to play at some of the best, most prestigious, top tier places that I could never even imagine that Babylon A.D. At that point in time would ever play. I
Right.
mean, we played like Yoshi's in Oakland, which is a jazz room. Sheely just got done selling out, 2 weeks in a row. And we came in and we took a date, not her date. Well, her date was a cancellation. Pete Escovedo was playing Ask for Us.
Wow.
Simon Phillips was playing after him.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yeah, and it was a shit night. It was super windy and rainy and stuff. And we were like, I think 5 people away from selling the thing out. We bonused anyway. They gave us a bonus, man, because we took, we had a month to promote. And that room is one of the most historic places in the Bay Area to play. It was always a myth to me and a lot of my cronies back in the Bay Area when I was up and coming. Like, how do you get into Yoshi's, And
Right.
we were playing at the Stone and at the Omni and Nile Station and stuff like that. And we always like wondered how the hell, and here it was. We had this opportunity. I go, I don't give a fuck how much money we make. We're gonna play that room because now then I've done every room in the Bay Area,
That's cool.
And but the significance of playing at that particular place, I shared with my bandmates and stuff, and I told them the same story I told you. And they drilled in and did a little bit of their own research, and it was an honor to play there. It really was.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Canyons, in Los Angeles. We got 2 gigs in a row there, and they treated us well and shit. And we traveled all the way to Los Angeles to do that. A couple places up in Utah and stuff. So the experience just doing, this tribute act and honoring the music and the way we're doing it because we're rocking it up a little bit. It's a little raw, it's a little loud. People love it, man.
Yeah.
They really love it a lot.
Yeah, that's great. That is so cool. Do you guys have, well, I guess I have two questions. One, what are the future plans of the band at this point? And then the other, which is along those same lines, is do you ever see that Duran 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 would release an album or a DVD or both?
Um, the second question I'll answer first. No, because we we can't really do that with our music. We can't really, or because our name is so close.
Hmm.
As far as the DVD goes, um, I don't know if tribs do stuff like that. I know some are able to do merch, but our name is so close to Duran Duran that we'd actually have to get permission because we've actually looked into it.
Hmm.
And at that point in time, this last, few years, we just wanted to get the act off and play and not start any hassle, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And any legal hassle and stuff. Because like again, Ronnie's she's a retired attorney and she likes doing things by the book, and
Cool.
it really helps me quite a bit because it helps me, kind of stay out of trouble a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, but she budgets the gigs. And when we get offers, she'll budget the gigs and she'll figure it out if we should take the gig or not. If it's going to be worth it. Sometimes we have a 6 piece, sometimes we have a 7 piece. When we have a 7 piece, we have two co-singers and the lead singer together.
Right.
So the girls are next to guys, just kind of like what Duran does now, And that works out pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. I've never had that many people on stage and just really, it's entertainment, And I
Yeah.
was just rocking and rolling full throttle all the time, just sweaty and all that shit. And this is a different deal, and it's really fun. So,
Yeah.
um, the first question was, what was the first one again?
Yeah, kind of the future of the band at this point. Like what
Oh yeah,
are
so
future
so
plans?
the future of the band is this. I was planning a launch here in February, and I'm still trying to shoot for that right now.
Hmm.
Um, we had some setbacks, unfortunately, with a cast member that really took advantage of us, and and it's really unfortunate this happened, and really, really. messed with Ronnie pretty bad because we're so gracious and so we open our house up, we take care of people, we're good people,
Yeah.
And one of the things that really upset me really bad was this particular person took our wardrobe home, was supposed to return it, and used it um, you know, for their own video and for their own promo shots. And, there was money charged on their credit cards. There
Jeez.
were our tracks. This person's using our tracks now. This person's slandering us.
That's pretty ballsy.
And we're good people, man.
Yeah.
It came down to it. Oh, batteries, not prepared to walk out on stage, no batteries in the mics, scrambling for batteries, and we're 3 songs into the set. The juice runs out on the mixer, so ears come out and guessing, it just was. I got pushed over the edge a little too far.
Yeah,
And in my
understandable.
neck of the woods, like I was in the band Babylon A.D, man. And I'll tell you what, if anyone did that to us, you better watch out because
Yeah.
that's what happens. And so it came down to the point where I was going to get in some trouble. And I had to back down and we're kind of like trying to repair, you know, that kind of what disadvantage shaking that's happened, you know. There's been a couple other things that I don't want to talk about right now because I'm in kind of some little bit of legal things with some representation that we had, and it didn't work out. And so I'm, still kind of like, working on some of the details of that so I could get my money back. But so I'd never imagined, I would have to have a setback like this because Ronnie and I are really solid people. Like again, I said, she is a very articulate and smart woman, and she's a very good businesswoman, And
Right.
I've been in the music business all my life. I was an educator. I've owned my own businesses and stuff. I know how to do business and stuff, but you just don't take advantage of people that are trying to like help you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people here in Vegas, they're just starting out and stuff. And we see that, and we open up our home. We help people, man. I mean, I work. As a profession, I'm an art director at a big brand company. I went back to school after I got dropped off after I checked out of the music business after my band got dropped, and it took me 6 years to get out of school and shit like that. But I'm a branding designer now, and I bring that to the band, and so the band's always represented in the highest regard. I
Right.
mean, and it helps other people because because they're getting promoted, and I'm not expecting them to pay me to promote them. They're in my cast, and
Yeah.
so again, you get offers, you net the money, we feed you, we take care of the accommodations and stuff. So when you get home, you get the money we promised, and anyone could contest to that that's played with us and stuff. So we're good people, man, and we just been taken advantage of, and it kind of fucking sucks, man. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that right now.
Yeah.
But we're forging ahead, and we're getting some decent offers right now. I want to launch here in Vegas, and I got set back a couple of months with that, and I'm gonna make sure that that happens by about March. I already have like about 5 other gigs booked,
Cool.
uh, in the Bay Area and stuff like that, and other places. But I want to do my launch from here because it's gonna be special because I want to have my full cast of people that from the Bay Area in here because I want to do a showcase. We got some really heavy players that are going to be in. Um, that we're going to feature. One, Les Warner. He's going to play drums.
Nice.
Him and I've been hanging out, and I've been talking with him and stuff. And he wants to. He actually was trying to start a Duran Duran tribute band,
Oh, yeah.
and never really got off the ground. There's a keyboard player named Barry Allen who was with Les. He's interested in being in our cast. He's going to be, I want to feature him. There's another guy, a singer. His name's Kelly Christian. He plays in a band called Yellow Brick Road. They're really big. One of they're I don't want to call them cover, but they're a cover band that plays the hard stuff like Kansas. They play Boston. They play Zeppelin. They play that kind of, you have to be a good musician and you have to be a kick-ass singer in order to pull the stuff off.
Yeah.
Seen him many times. He's really, really good. I have another guy, uh, Martin Andrew, and he's a Rod Stewart impersonator, and he's a Brit.
Oh, wow.
Along with, and he's one of he let him and Les know each other, even from over in London and stuff, or in Britain, and they know each other. But Martin, he came walking in my house to audition, and we've had a few rehearsals with him and stuff. And dude, I swear to God, I'm all, oh my God, this guy's Rod Stewart. Like, sir,
Nice.
and he's a fabulous guy, man. I love him to death. Um, who else do I got on my singing, doing some singing for me and stuff? I got Kelly, I got Martin, also, this guy Stephen Davis, a guitar player, he's my Nile Rodger. He played in Cameo, and he's a young cat here. He plays in a heavy metal band in LA, and he comes here and he jams, and he has like jam nights here and stuff like that. And he's a pretty big name and shit. Um, just to reiterate, about you know taking wardrobe, from an act that you work for. A friend of mine, Chris Phillips, he goes by AKA Zoe Bowie. His wife makes these beautiful like showgirl costumes, and he does this really great act. He does like, he plays on Fremont Street. He's one of the biggest entertainers here. He's been the best entertainer here like the past 9, 10 years.
Mhm.
And he does this really cool thing like at the Italian club. And these girls come out in these beautiful well, his wife makes these costumes, rhinestone by rhinestone,
Wow.
headdress by headdress. They just come out and it's just absolutely gorgeous. We go to their shows all the time and we're friends with them. Um, God forbid anyone take, you know,
Yeah.
their, their wardrobe. Another friend of mine, his name is uh, uh, Michael Shapiro, and he has an ad called Reckless in Vegas. And I know he wheels in huge wardrobe, and I know he's had a huge investment in this band. God forbid anyone take his wardrobe. I mean,
Yeah.
so you just don't go work for somebody here in Vegas and take their wardrobe on any level. It's
Yeah.
just like it's beyond me to think about like the balls of somebody of somebody doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's insane. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, that's pretty ballsy. That's
Yeah. But getting back to the positives, another one of my singers that's going to be in my cast is this guy. His name's Bobby Blue. Okay, and he goes by Robert Pernerzo, and that's his real name, but I know him as Bobby Blue, and he's from the Bay Area, and he had a band called Kid Blue, and he was in the same scene as Babylon A.D., Vane, and Flame. His band was neck and neck with all of us prior to all of us getting record deals and stuff. He was in the thick of it. He's here now, and he's one of my singers too.
oh
So
nice.
we have a really cool all-star cast that we're going to do a relaunch. It's just we've had a few hiccups, man, and it's pretty mind-boggling. From where I come from, man, it's just like nobody does shit like this.
Yeah.
Nobody does this stuff. So I think sometimes, you know, people are desperate, man, and they don't have any choice.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's really come down to. And it's kind of sad. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't know when the next paycheck from, just go take advantage of your local band, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like the cool thing is it sounds like you guys are like, yeah, you're moving forward. You got some plans. That's
Yeah, I mean,
exciting.
I'm not a quitter. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I had to take a step back, take a breath, and then kind of like, get back. It hurt a lot, but we're managing it and stuff. And like, me and my girl, we just look at each other. We ain't quitters, man. And we're just going to forge ahead. And we got some good people behind us and stuff now. And, and our cast supports us and shit. They're not very, the cast isn't aware of what I just disclosed in this interview because I've been waiting for something like this to talk about this.
Hmm.
We didn't feel that we needed to let anybody really know. But when you start to get slandered, and
Yeah.
stuff, then, it's just like, all right, man, you know what? I know exactly what to do. I know there's a few people that want to interview me right now. Just so just so I can,
Right.
I'll just bring it up then.
Yeah. There you
So
go.
everyone can
Perfect.
hear it, so everyone understands. At the end of the day, my girlfriend and I, we're good people, man. And we like again, we welcome people in our house. We hold rehearsals here, and we treat everyone with, the utmost respect and dignity and stuff. But when we get taken advantage of, and from the neck of woods I'm from, the East Bay, Oakland, California, that shit like that don't go over with me too good,
Yeah. 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 The gloves come off.
Yeah.
Right.
But on a
Well,
positive note,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what's going to come because, yeah, I mean, I think any club owner anywhere in America, if they just all they need to do is listen to like just that video you sent me of Notorious, and I if I was a club owner, I'd sign you up immediately. That
you
was
know,
amazing.
And that's the idea, man. I mean, I put a lot of time into those. Like I got the raw footage. We did. I have four more I could put out,
Hmm.
but the band has changed so tremendously since then that it's just one of our assets.
Yeah.
So, like again, what I do is I do these 1 minute commercial things. But I'm really glad that you're into it because when we did the demos and stuff, I'm throwing in a little bit of double bass shit here and some of the licks I did in Babylon and all that kind of stuff, and roughing it up a little bit and playing a little heavier and shit. And the outcome to me, I'm going, Jesus, this is fun. This is good. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's cool.
hopefully it goes over and people dig it. And thank you very much for recognizing that because I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And no shade against, Roger Taylor, but you are leaps and bounds ahead of him. And, I mean, I've always liked Duran Duran, but the drumming was always
Yeah,
rudimentary.
I agree with you. I like Roger of today.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
yeah, he's still kind of kicked back, but and they play with Steve Ferroni on the Notorious record.
Yeah,
That's not
he's great.
Roger on guitar and Steve Ferroni on drums, right? And when I heard that, I go, that is it. And then I
Mhm.
saw some live stuff. But then when Cucurullo got in the band with Sterling, Sterling Chamber, um, or Sterling Campbell, my heck, why did I say that all the time? Sterling Campbell. I said, then that's the blueprint right there. So whenever I get a guy, that wants to be in the cast and stuff, I go, here, you got to listen to this. You got to get these tones. You got to play like this because, it complements the powerhouse of the rhythm section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, just the funky Nile Rodger and the Cucurullo Cucurullo plays a little bit heavier and a little bit different, but that's the kind of thing that, I dig. And so I'm not going to say I'm more like like Ferroni and like and Campbell. That's the Bonham-esque funk is really kind of like
Yeah.
what it is to me. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's very cool. Yeah, I love that you talk about that because I think a lot of people like when they think of Duran Duran, they think of it as a synth pop band, and it's like, no, they're super funky. They've always been funky. I mean, there's a lot of
They
keyboards,
evolved
but
into that. They did evolve into that. They were a little
yeah,
disco-y at first and
yeah,
stuff. They were dance, that was you got to remember, man. I mean, their management was going to like Studio 54 and shit like that in New
yeah,
York.
yeah,
And so they were bringing that vibe back and they were listening, they were developing these guys. And these guys are young kids at the time. I mean, if you watch some of the documentaries about them and stuff, it's pretty interesting about how they listened to their management and how big they got so fast because these
yeah,
guys were businessmen that were representing them. They saw it, they saw it right away, so it was pretty cool. I gotta, I have the utmost respect for all of them,
yeah.
Andy Taylor too, man. Andy Taylor, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
he broke away. He was rock and roll, man. I mean, you saw, like when he put out that album, that first solo album, that song "I Might Lie." I mean, that's
yeah,
Terry Bozzio back there playing in the shadows and stuff, right? And Terry's laying down that track, and I think Bernard Edwards produced that, and they did it at Ocean Way Studios, where I actually recorded the first Babylon record. And you could tell it's in that room, man. They're freaking in some ass, you know.
Nice.
So, that's kind of like for my background, taking that and transitioning over into, the act that we have and stuff. It's it's it made sense, it makes sense. It's not pushed, it's not forced. It's pretty natural kind of thing, And the only thing I want for my players is I just want my players to go out and be rock stars and represent, 100%, because I want everybody because it's really about the people that are coming to see us. That is the best feeling I've ever had in my life when I started playing this trip, is how receptive the people were to what we were throwing down. You know what I mean? And Babylon was a different thing, I mean, because this was, our music and stuff. And, I gotta, honestly, back then, I'm glad you guys have like what better representation now, and they got more people helping them and shit. But back then, we were kind of doing all ourselves and stuff. The gigs
Right.
were okay. When we going on Monsters of Rock cruise and shit like that, it was great. We played festivals, it was great. It's just our own shows, it was just weird, I mean, it's just like going all this work for what, So
Yeah.
these shows that I'm doing with the trip band is like everyone comes to sing these songs. And when I'm playing, it's almost like I could imagine like, the guys in the Beatles or even the Duran guys saying, I can't even hear my freaking shit. These people are singing so loud, and they're
Right.
so into it, right? And of the first gig that I did with Duran Duran, I didn't know one person there. I think besides my family, I didn't know not one person. I walked off my drums. Nobody knew who the fuck I was or nothing. But they said, "Hey, man, good set," and all that. I'm going, "This is fucking cool." I
Nice.
don't know anybody. No one from the metal world or no one from the hard rock, genre or nothing like that's here. They're here to see the music, and so
Right.
that's where my head's at with that. It's a whole different experience, and it's pretty fucking cool, man.
That is cool. Have you guys had any is Duran Duran aware of your band? Have
I'm,
you
I mean, I'm
heard
sure
anything?
that they are. I'm sure they are because I'm also an SEO expert, so I'm in marketing. I work at a big brand company. Okay. So after my band got dropped, I went back to college. It took me 6 years to get out of college, by the way. The first 2 years didn't count. And I went to San Jose State. And by the time I graduated from there, I was, I had a good job and stuff like that. And you're going to have to cut this out because I kind of forgot where I was going with this. What was it?
No, if Duran Duran was aware of you guys.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So along with me, learning branding and stuff, and I learned how to build websites too, right? And I learned how to do SEO. So if you look up Duran Duran Tribute Band, I come up number one because I know how to do, SEO and stuff. Which is, I don't know what know what that is, a search engine optimization.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I used to do that for clients, when I was doing like more hardcore like freelancing and stuff, design, right? I mean, I did a lot of stuff for like dentists and doctors and stuff like that when I got out of college.
Oh,
And
cool.
I was making a lot of money doing that too. I mean, I had a full-time job and I was teaching and I was doing that. But I learned how to do SEO. And it's a game that you don't want to get into because the algorithms change all the time. Google rhythm changes them and stuff. And so if you fall out of number one, you have some explaining to do when you take somebody's money and you get them up there, right? They want to
Yeah.
fucking be up all the time. So I stopped doing that. But I do for my bands, And so there's probably about 50 Duran Duran tribute bands that I'm aware of, and we come up number one. So I know that being that in their shoes, I'd be curious to see how
Yeah.
these tribs are representing, and if the first guy comes up and he's got the good assets, hopefully they're happy with what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything I've heard and seen, I mean, yeah, you guys are, like you said, it's a little more raw, a little more rocking, but it's true to the music, which is important, I think. Like, and
Yeah.
and it's really, really well done. I mean, you guys, I mean, you guys are professionals Like
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
lit. It's yeah.
everyone we have is top caliber musicians, and we
Yeah.
play the tracks too. I mean, you can't get around that. We can't have a percussionist. We can't have a third keyboard player. I mean, our keyboard player will play two parts. There might be four parts to the keyboards. There might be an acoustic guitar going when there's electric guitar going. Well, I'm not going to have like 12 people on stage. I can't
Yeah.
afford, but I can afford seven people. So yeah, we have some kick-ass backing tracks. And actually Bobby, that was one of the inventors of those. And he was doing that back in like, I think 2009. He invented some tracks and he was
Oh,
doing it with a smaller scale band and stuff. But it's needed for entertainment. We're an entertainment band, and we're not a rock band that's represented, going out and, you know, uh, touring and behind a record campaign. This is
right.
like we're an entertainment act. So we're bringing in co-singers, we're bringing in a kick-ass flamboyant lead singer. Everyone's decked out, everyone's rock starred up. We're not trying to be Duran Duran. We're just trying to walk out there and be rock stars. Now, the lead singer guy, if he resembles them, kind of like my one of my new singers,
Yeah.
Martin Andrew. Martin's a Brit, and he looks like Rod Stewart, and he looks like Simon. Kelly Christian, he looks like Simon a little bit. They're not nuts on him, but they resemble him a little bit. It's always good to have the lead singer kind of, that way.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, this is where the wardrobe king comes in. She found the designer that makes the shirts for Simon, the exact pants, the exact
Oh, wow.
shoes he's wearing, the jackets he's wearing, and stuff like that. I mean, she put a lot of time and research into finding the designers that he's wearing. And so we deck our guy out like that. And then the rest of us, we're just like moto jeans, Chucks, kind of like the way John Taylor's on stage now. He'll wear like a suit jacket and he'll whip off his jacket and he's got a cut off sleeve shirt, a graphic shirt on and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're like that. We're doing, I mean, we're not, I don't want to do the spandex camel toe, kind of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't, dude, I'm like 60 years old now. So, and nor is there anybody else in my cast. So, but everyone that's come across our cast, either if they're with us or not, they've always done a great job of just being 100% entertainer, rock star, and that's how we want to do it. I mean,
Nice.
I have some other plans like to get even some bigger names in here and stuff like that, kind of like at the rock vault level and shit like that. Just if they're into it and they know about 6 songs, show up. I'll take care of you, and stuff.
Cool.
I'd love to have Todd Kearns come in and sing a couple. I'd
Yeah.
love to have Keith St. John come in and hang out and play. I got Les Warner. He's going to come in and he's going to play drums while I'm out in the front producing and stuff.
Cool.
So I kind of want to make it an invitation kind of thing like that in a sense. I kind of want to develop like that because it's really going to help the draw quite a bit. I think
Yeah.
you put a couple names that are showing up or whatever. So that's kind of future stuff that I have planned. But right now, I just want to get a good relaunch going.
Nice. That's very cool. Um, well, if you don't mind, let's switch gears a little bit here, maybe a lot.
Okay.
Um, and if you don't mind, I'd like to take a ride in the Wayback Machine, and I'd like to know about like how this all started for you. Did you come from a musical family? Like, what was the impetus for Jamey to become a drummer? Like, where did this all start?
Yeah. Well, it was really my brother Eric. Eric, he started playing like marching band drums, and he
Hmm.
got a pad and some sticks and stuff. And right around that same time, my mom and dad acquired like a stand-up piano, and him and I were getting into listening to Elton John a lot, when we were younger and stuff. And so he was trying to figure the piano out big time. And I said, I'll tell you what, let me be Nigel and you be Elton. Okay. And then so I got a TV tray and a lampshade and stuff. And I was pretending I was playing the drums. And he's like on the piano. But what we did is we got one of my mom and dad's speakers and we busted a hole in the sheetrock and we put one of the speakers in the garage. I'd run in and go put the album on and then run back out in the garage and we played like all the greatest hits, the Elton John's greatest hits thing.
Nice.
And so after a while, I figured out how to play the drums and Eric figured out how to play the piano a little bit. And then we talked our parents into some secondhand instruments and we started jamming around. And I got a picture of me, my brother with a Les Paul and stuff, a copy. And I had this, little rinky dink drum set I got in eighth grade. And we kind of started that way. Uh, by the time I was a, um, by the time I was a sophomore, a freshman or sophomore, and I excelled pretty quick, and Eric, he was doing pretty cool, but I excelled really fast. And one day a friend of ours came over and left behind a Kiss Destroyer record and Aerosmith Toys in the Attic. And
Oh,
I looked at
great
the
album.
back of fucking Toys in the Attic and I look at Joe Perry and go, fuck, I want to be that guy right there. Fuck, he's fierce, he's mean. And we listened to freaking those two records and wore them out. And then, along came Montrose, UFO, the Scorpions,
Nice.
I mean, the Babies, the Cars, all the just I mean, I still have all these records, Van Halen, all these records that me and my brother collected. And it really shaped me, 'cause I was really into like Montrose and I was really into Van Halen, I was really into the Babies. And I was managed. I was able to play a lot like Tony Brock and the Babies. I was able to
Mm.
pick that up. When I started high school, one of my neighbors, she was a popular and she was a cheerleader and stuff. She took me around as a freshman. I was a lucky guy, and introduced me to a lot of people. And who she introduced me to, she introduced me to this cat named Larry Carter, and he was a drummer in Romeo Void, and he went to my high school. And he wasn't quite in Romeo Void at that time, but he was a musician. And so started taking drum lessons from him, like when I was a freshman. And, and then I met his friend, which is a guy named Richie Carlson, and his brother, Kevin. He was the first guitar player in Aldo Nova. So if you look at that video, Fantasy, he's the lead guitar player. I mean, he's just a
Oh,
gorgeous guy.
wow.
But I mean, when he was on MTV, we were going, oh my God, he just opened for us, right? Um, it was amazing. I mean, my brother took guitar lessons from him, and I remember going purposely knocking on the door and he'd answer the door. I'm all so, you know, by the time I was a sophomore and stuff, I met a couple people. Excuse me, and one of them happened to be a good friend of mine. His name's Marshall Coleman, and he's a guitar player. And he was a UFO guy, and so we became friends, and we started our first little kegger band and stuff like that. And we had cake parties and shit like that. By that time, I talked my mom and dad into like a state-of-the-art drum set, and it's a Tom and Imperial Star drum set, and it's on my website and stuff. And
Oh, cool.
um, my dad went exempt, on his paycheck, and bought my brother a half stack and a Marauder, and he bought me a freaking kick-ass drum set. And that was the drum set I wound up getting a record deal on too, by the way. I mean, I
Oh,
did my
very cool.
but by the time I was a junior in high school, I was sophomore going to junior, I answered an ad and it was in a music store and it says drummer wanted and stuff. I called it up and I was 15 years old. I go walk in the studio and that's where I met Derek and I met Rob Reed and they were in this band called Candy. And I beat out, I guess, about 8 or 9 drummers or something like that. My dad had to drive me there actually. And and I got out, set up all my shit and stuff, and I played hard. I don't know if I played that good, but I played hard, and I got the gig, and I got to play in the clubs and shit. And my mom and dad used to chaperone me, and one of the big was I used to have to stay in the dress, and I didn't get to go in the dressing room. I had to get dressed in the kitchen, called Benny and the Jets. The drummer in Tesla was in this band. Okay, I could Troy's from my neck of the woods, and he's a good friend of mine to this day. And I met these guys in the kitchen and shit like that. And Benny was like Vince Neil before Vince Neil. I mean, the Jets were going to L.A. and Molly was opening up for them, and they were open, and then the Jets were opening up for Quiet Riot, which was a band called Snow, I think, back in the day.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
they were coming back. They were coming back, and they were talking about Motley and shit like that. But Vince basically took Benny's look, and I got, there's all kinds of at the time period you could tell because there's a video of Benny and the Jets opening up for Y&T at the old Waldorf, and it was like before Molly even came out. So you can see Benny's moves and what he's wearing and stuff like that. Anyway, he came up to me and put his arm around me and shit, and he goes, "Dude, why you're like a little kid? What the fuck are you doing in here?" And started talking to him, and so he nicknamed me Young James, and he kind of mentored me the whole time until I got a record deal,
Nice.
Yeah, and so yeah, it was pretty interesting, ride, But I that's how I met Derek and Rob. I was in a band called Candy with them, and after that kind of faded away, I got in another band, I think with Marshall again, and we started playing like at the Keystone Palo Alto, the Stone in San Francisco, Keystone Berkeley and stuff. And we were young kids, man. I was still like a senior in high school at the time. We were opening for like Eddie and the Tide. I think we opened for Humble Pie, Eddie
Cool.
Money, shit like that. And Big Bobby Corona, the guy that used to own the Keystones and stuff, he goes, "You got my money?" Because it was pay to play. And we were short. He goes, "All right, I'll tell you what. Here's 500 more tickets for your next show." And we're going, "We can't sell 500 tickets. It's all pay to play back there, but we did, and he was always nice to us, man. He was super cool. The Keystone family at that time. It was the Stone, it was and the Keystone Palo Alto and the Keystone Berkeley, and once you got in one of them, you could play them all. So
Cool.
uh, that's kind of how like that's kind of how all that started.
Nice. Oh, that's very cool. When did so Babylon 5 or Babylon AD formed in 87, right?
Like around late 86, late
86,
80, I
87.
would say like probably about mid 86. What
Hmm.
had happened was is a friend of mine, this guy Dennis Bostock, he was playing with John Matthews, who's the guitar player right now. Okay, and we all went to high school together. Okay, and I knew John pretty good. I mean, but not like Dennis knew him. So they were trying to put something together. Dennis got another offer to play kind of in this punk. It's not what I don't want to call punk. It was like a power pop kind of punk band,
Hmm.
and they were going back and forth to LA, and they're showcasing. So they made him an offer to join. So I went to Los Angeles with Dennis to help him because he was my best friend. Okay. And so I went to LA with him and when I got to Los Angeles, and they played at Matamoros, I think they played at the Troubadour. They played at a couple other places, country club maybe or something. And it was like a weekend, showcase thing that they were doing. And when I got there, I'm all, oh my God, look what's going on here. And I'm talking like 85, maybe coming out 84, 85 or something like that. And I got exposed to this and I'm going, oh man, this is how you get a record deal. And I didn't know the process or nothing. So when I got back, Dennis reintroduced me to John. And John and I knew who each other, but he was a little mad at Dennis, but Dennis's band, it was a studio split in half. Dennis's band had the back room and he gave us the front room so John was recording Dennis and him were recording. And so I redid Dennis's tracks and me and John started making music together, like Last Time for Love, Don't Tell Me Tonight. Um, some of these early songs that we were that the Babylon AD, those are like the first four songs that
Hmm.
we had come up with. Anyway, so I told John, I go, hey man, I know a singer. I haven't talked to him in years and stuff, but I'm gonna call him up. I still have his phone number. And let me see. And it was Derek. Derek. So I invited Derek down to the studio. And that night, because Derek was already in another band, he was doing, he had management and stuff, and they were getting some pretty good gigs around here in the Bay Area, or when I lived in the Bay Area. Uh, so he came down and it just and he stayed probably till 5 in the morning and recorded vocals to four songs. We set him up in the bathroom, got the natural reverb out of the bathroom and stuff, and put those things down. And when we listened to the playbacks and stuff, I said, hey, listen, let's get a bass player. Let's get another guitar player because John played a lot of double leads, when he
Hmm.
was overdubbing, he'd do a lot of double stuff. And I was asking Derek, I go, hey, have you heard from Rob? Now, Rob would be perfect, you know? And he goes, I don't know. I think he's going to go to jail, but maybe we could talk to him before he does, and he could, you know, he got in some trouble, so he had to go to Santa Rita or something like that for a little while. Anyway, so we kept working on material and stuff. Rob gets out of the can, and and then from a friend of mine, from a referral from a friend, we got introduced to Ron Fresky, and we had our lineup, you know, and we just fucking it blew up, dude. It just
Yeah.
and we started playing, and everyone wanted to book us. Everyone wanted to hang with us. We had the tunes, we had the looks, man. When we started to sing, you know, we had played this little club called Nile Station, you know, and that was our hometown in Fremont, kind of Fremont, Hayward, California. It's in Niles. So kind of was split between, you know, there was Fremont, Union City, then Hayward. And so everybody would go to this club. It was a biker club. And and we turned it in. They have a jam night there every Tuesday night, and we go to the jam nights. And there's a guy named Art and Rhonda, and they had us up there, and they gave us just a chance to get up there and jam. The club owner saw us, started offering us gigs, and we created a whole scene, dude. You know, we created a whole freaking scene. Before you knew it, there was bands like ours, and it started blowing up and started going all across the Bay Area. But you know, and there was other spots that were going catching on fire too, like the guys in Vain. You know, they were way over in Haight Street and stuff like that in San Francisco. You know, and they had a thing kind of going on at the same time. There was like Kid Blue in San Jose. San Jose kind of had a thing. So it kind of started. It was just the time was right because you had the early Motley Crue, the early Dokken, the early Rats, you know, all those types of bands, and we wanted to be that. That's what we were striving because those doors were starting to open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it created a kick-ass scene in the Bay Area and stuff. You know, so that's kind of how I got to know reintroduced to Derek and Rob. I've known them since I was like 15, and we parted ways for a while. Then joined forces again later and stuff. But John and I are the ones much just got down and dirty and stuff like that, and then called Derek up, and then the three of us partnered together and we built a band, from there.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and I mean, and obviously, you guys, yeah, created a beast of an album with that, that debut album was, I mean, I remember I would have been in high school at the time, and I remember, yeah, MTV and Bango the Bells was like constant rotation, and I was hooked immediately. Like the first time I saw that video, I'm like, this is my band. Like,
The,
I'm
the
so into
Cinderella
this.
story, the Cinderella story of the whole thing is once we had enough, once the outfit was together and we had enough recorded material, Derek and I put together 10 promo packs, bought tickets to the Los Angeles and flew down and walked the strip. And we went everywhere. We went to Roxy, we went to Gazzarri's, we went to the Rainbow, we went to the fucking, the Troubadour, we went to the Whiskey, we went to the, Country Club. We went everywhere. Um, and then we wound up back at Gazzarri's, probably with 20 bucks left to our name and one promo pack. And we're just sitting there and he goes, do you think anything's gonna come out of this? I go, fuck man, I don't know. Let's go get a beer and let's go home tomorrow. And Derek's going, what about that guy over there? He looks important. He's got a suit on and shit like that. And I go, well, fuck, good luck, man. And so he goes over there and talks to him. And then he waits, he says, oh, come here. And he goes, hey, how you doing? My name's Jay Mala and all this stuff. And I go, okay, yeah, cool. And he goes, yeah, I'll give this a listen. I'll give it a listen. And so he walked away. Derek and I went back, and we're hanging out. We're going to watch the band. And we had to sneak into clubs, like, because we ran out of money. So I think we snuck in there, pretending like we're the road crew and shit. And we just walked in. Anyway, so we're sitting there, and Jay took the tape and he goes up to the soundboard and he had the guy pop it in the PA, and also we're going, fuck, they're playing our shit in Gazzarri's.
Wow.
And it was a 2-song demo. And he comes back and goes, in this New York, this is you guys? This is you? And going, yeah, man. He goes, this fucking sounds great. He goes, let me introduce my man, Jamey Mala. I'm from New York. He's a fast talking Puerto Rican, New York guy. And he goes, I know a lot of people, man. He goes, I have my own record deal on Atlantic. My band was called Koala. And he goes, and I used to sing for the Joe Perry Project. And I'm going, fuck,
Wow.
fucking score. I mean, that was like the first, like, real like connect that we had the whole time. We were there for like maybe 2, 3 days or something like that. Maybe 2 days, I don't know. And I go, Jesus Christ, I go that, and he goes, I want to see you guys. And I'm going, oh my God, this is crazy. So we fly back, we tell everybody, and everyone didn't think nothing was going to become of it. And the following weekend, Jay came down and he saw us at Nile Station, and he goes, I'll tell you what. And he goes, I want to get you guys in front of some labels. I can get you. He goes, I'll tell you what, let's just do a handshake right now. If I don't get you shit in fucking 6 months, he goes, you can fire me. We said, fair enough, man. It was just, so he developed it just a little bit. And then he started getting the showcases. And one of those showcases was with Arista. And it we did a private showcase for Clive in San Francisco. And Clive liked us a lot at that time. And I thought we were going to get signed, man. And this is like in that 6 month window. And he just wanted to see if we could, work with outside songwriters, I mean, because that's Clive Davis, I mean, he
Yeah.
even made Barry Manilow do it, and he picks all the songs for Whitney. That's just the way he does things. And so we're kind of bummed because that first time he was interested. And so a few months go by, um, and I think they flew Derek to like Jersey to go write with some outside songwriters. And one of them happened to be a guy named Jack Pawnee, who like wrote with Bon Jovi and shit like that, and
Hmm.
Richie Sambora. I guess he was part of the Jersey Underground, with Desmond Child and this guy Vic Pepe. And Derek came back with some kick-ass fucking tunes. He came back with Hammer Swing Down and Desperate, The Kid Goes Wild. There's something band. There's a song called Crossfire. Um, and everyone was buzzing about it, but nothing was going on. Nothing was happening. So my manager said, fuck it. Let's put the squeeze on them. And if this doesn't work out, I could use these demos to fucking get you in front of some other labels. So we decided to move down, and we're moving in on a weekend, or actually during a weekday, and it was like a Wednesday or something like that. And we get a call from the A&R guy at Ariston. He goes, Clive wants to see you on Saturday. We're still moving in and shit. We hadn't even practiced in a while. And so we got down over to Mates in North Hollywood and shit, and started going through some of the songs and shit like that. And he came walking in. It was like American Idol with no audience, just the three students, the crew, and us, right? So probably 9 guys, 10, 11, 12 guys in the room, right? And 5 songs in, he just goes, and I thought he was going to walk in. He goes, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. And he goes, puts his arms around us and goes, welcome to the family, boys. I'm going to make you bigger than Aerosmith.
Wow.
And I don't know one person except maybe Troy Lucetta that had that kind of like wow moment where you're going, we just got signed. Are you kidding me? So that alone, that story was just a Cinderella story and a half. I mean, we were so blessed, to be in that spot in time, the timing and everything. Had it been a little earlier, probably would have been bigger. But man, I'll tell you what, no one I've ever talked to, probably except Troy, has gone through something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of guys I've met that have taken the place of this guy in LA Guns or this guy or whatever, and have had some good runs and shit like that, but not at that level. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
serious. So he hung out, talked to us a little bit. He told us about Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and what he was going to do with us, and Ron Fresky and I were like barely just 21, 22 years old, and we're just going. We were the babies in the room. We were the youngest ones in the room, right? I'm all, can you believe this shit? Fuck, Ron and I were just like flabbergasted, right? I mean, we really were. I mean, even when we walked in the recording studio, we're going, holy shit, it's
Yeah.
time to grow up,
Right.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible time, man. And doing the records was a whole different thing. But that moment right there was probably one of the most magical moments of my life. I mean, I wouldn't trade that for the world, man. Really.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never heard that story. That's amazing. That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
it's all true, man. And
Yeah,
and the
that's
guys that
cool.
were there, you talk to John. I mean, I know Derek don't go that deep into things like that because he's, promoting a new record and shit like that. But, one day I'm gonna write a book. I got all the assets of all the promo stuff for Babylon AD. I collected everything, and I'm like the Bill Wyman of the band in a way, because I'm into design, graphic design, and all that kind of stuff. So I have everything, all of our articles and everything. So I'm gonna write a book, a tell-all book actually, because there's all kinds of crazy fucking shit that happened along the way. But
Oh, I'm
uh,
sure.
we would need probably a week for me to get into all that, but we won't do that for I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you have some wild. I can't even imagine. I'm sure you have some pretty wild stories,
Oh, dude,
especially
man.
at that time. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
you just
it was the time of excess, you know what I
yeah,
mean? The good
yeah,
shit was going around at that time, and we were all partaking in it, believe me.
yeah,
And when you move from the Bay Area to Hollywood, one thing we learned really super quick is you got to have a purpose there, man, because if not, you're going to get sucked down the gutter like in a second, and
yeah,
we saw that happen to quite a few people, man. And we actually had to say to each other, hey, we have a record deal, man. We got business to do. We can't be fucking around like that. But
right.
5 years later, we're fucking around like that. Right? There goes a lecture out the window.
Well, but the good thing is, I mean, you guys produced so much great music in a short window of time. And unfortunately, I think you mentioned it earlier. You guys got dropped from your record company, which it was a weird time. The early '90s. That was a really bizarre time. You have the whole grunge thing happening, and but the good thing is, you
I
guys
will
came
tell you
back.
this. I will tell you this. I mean, our first record was produced by Simon Hanhart, and his process was a little different. He was a little bit more from the school of Mutt Lange, and it
Mm,
was really it was a real hard fucking record to record because we weren't used to doing things that way. But once we got done doing it that way, the fucking record came out great.
yeah,
Now, I will tell you this. I didn't like that record when it first came out, but when I did move here to Vegas, I got a really badass purist turntable with some beautiful studio speakers. It's total purist, and I never even opened that record. I always listened to it on cassette and CD. I opened it and put it on, and the album was really mixed for vinyl, and it was fat, fucking I can't say enough about it. I actually called Simon a couple years ago when I got here to Vegas and stuff. I said, "Hey, bro, you did a wonderful job on this record. I didn't like it at first because all the compression from
yeah,
CD manufacturing at that time in '89. That's when they first started. They went from vinyl to CD, and cassette tape was already going on and shit like that. But um, it you just lost that analog feel from analog to digital. It just something got lost. They got it figured out now, I think.
yeah,
But then they didn't. Then then when we did Nothing Sacred, we did the second record. I was gonna probably bail after the first record because I knew that,
really,
yeah, because I wasn't a songwriter and I was working my ass off for what? For nothing. And it was weird. Once the money hit the table, everybody wasn't friends anymore. It kind of changed a lot. It really did. We still were a gang, and stuff. But when it came down to business and shit, it really broke my heart kind of bit because we ran like a pack of brothers, but it happens to every band too, man. I'm not just saying it happened to our band. It's just that when the money starts going in the table and stuff, people start forgetting like about things. And I wasn't a songwriter, so I wasn't entitled to any of that shit. I got my name on one song that John Matthews gave me some publishing on because me and him were pals.
Mhm.
And John left it in the middle of production on the first record. But going into so I was thinking, I go, this isn't gonna, I'm gonna just go back to school, man, and I'm just gonna fucking have a good life. Fuck it. And then my manager called up and said, "Hey, Clive, I think Clive's getting Tom Werman to do the second record." And I'm going, fucking Molly Crew, Poison, fucking LA Guns. I mean, I said, sign me up. I'm in. I mean, no one really knew. I was actually going back to the Bay Area and I was thinking about being a firefighter, I swear to God. And
Really.
I was a pyro when I was a kid, so I like matches and all that stuff. And not a good thing to say right now. And I want to say something real quick too, man. God bless the people in Los Angeles and stuff, man. I
Yeah,
feel bad for,
horrifying.
oh my God. My daughter's down there right now, and I was very worried about her. So thank God she's in Marina Del Rey. She works in the garment district. She's a fashion designer. And she sent me a couple pictures from her house and stuff. And I'm going, get your ass out of there right now, you know.
Yeah.
But we used to ride our bikes, we used to have, motocross bikes and shit like at the apartment. And we'd ride all the way down to the beach, all the way down Sunset to Gladstones, all that shit, and then ride all the way back. And some of the best times of our lives, man. And it just fucking broke my heart seeing that shit going down yesterday, man, this
Yeah.
weekend. And I just wanted to say that real quick, because it really, ugh, God, it's so devastating, and
Yeah.
it's tearing me up right now because I had so many good times, uh, around that area, just hanging out at Gladstones and hanging out in that part of the beach, and stuff. It's just like we didn't belong there. It's Malibu, right? But it was fun just going there, and stuff, and
Yeah.
just that just destroyed down. It'll never be the same again. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Anyway, so then, the opportunity got to work with Tom, and it was night and day, dude. It was like fucking you should, he came to our practice once because you guys are ready. And we're going, no, no, no. We're supposed to go do pre-production and get beat up for a whole month. And then we'll go because we drank the Kool-Aid from the album before.
Mhm.
He goes, no, man. He goes, let's just do it. And that's kind of how it was, man. I think like the first time I did the record, it took my producer one whole week to figure out how to fucking record the band. And it took me 2 more weeks to do my tracks. So basically, everyone's saying, it took 3 weeks to fucking get the drums. And then everybody went through that weather storm and everybody came out of it and grew up. But with Tom, it was like, just get in there and kick some fucking ass and let me just take care of it. I was done with that record like in 7 days. And then I came back. I think Danny wrote another song called The Dog Off the Chain or something. I went back and recorded that in a couple takes, and it was all fun. It was fun. Fridays we'd party, it'd be chicks, there'd be contraband, there'd be, you know, I mean, wine, booze, all this stuff. But we'd have the funnest fucking times with that guy. I mean, he knew how to take a situation that was very clinical and may turn it into a rock and roll party. And he knew how to get the best out of everybody, man. I mean, look
Mhm.
what he did with Poison. Look what he did with LA Guns and Motley and stuff. So it was a joy working with him, and I'm glad I did. But
Yeah.
like, when that record got released, just like you were just saying a little while ago in 93, all of a sudden Nirvana comes along and shit, and the industry starts to change, and you're going, oh man, how much longer is this going to go on for?
Yeah. Yeah. It was unfortunate because I think I don't think that album got the shakes that it deserved because it's a really solid album. I mean,
I like the record, but a lot of people, it's more of a bluesy record, and kind of I thought it kind of represented us a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, when we got an opportunity to put out the demo tapes, it was called In the Beginning, okay?
oh yeah.
That should have been our first record,
Right.
okay? Because all those songs that John wrote, Matthews wrote, and Derek wrote with John, and then Ron contributed quite a bit. That, if you listen to those songs, I think there's 12 songs on there, maybe 11, 12 songs. Those were our demos that got us, interest with Arista and stuff, with Clive Davis. And when I go back and listen to that shit, and I'm going, dudes, if they just would have stuck with this and then did the first album, second, and then, maybe it would have been different. Maybe it might have been different because those songs, man, I mean, when we came back, and the first album was released, we were a different band. We were
Mhm.
kind of, I don't want to say prefabricated, but we kind of were. You get a deal, they change you. We have these great songs. They want songs. They're going to put millions of dollars into you. You got to fucking have hits. Because then
Yeah.
they're not into the business to lose. And for some reason, they just didn't feel that those songs were quite as strong as the other songs and stuff. So, that's kind of how it got fucked up in a way, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a it's a bizarre industry, like when you really look at it, because I mean it's because you have the artistic side and then you have the business side, and they're smashed together, and it's a but I don't know if there's really any. I mean, apart from the film industry, there's really no other industry like that. And yeah, and it spits chews people up and spits them out like, unfortunately. But
And
the
that's why you kind of have to have a purpose, a sense of
yeah,
purpose to even go into Hollywood, and
right.
to try. I mean, if you're a band, I got to give it to the guys at Poison. They said, let's just pack our freaking shit and just like go roll the dice and move there. they're living on the streets and shit like that. And, of course, they're a couple good looking dudes and stuff like that. Girls are, gets full sponsorship from the strippers and all that stuff. They bring them in. And before you know it, boom, they're huge.
Yep.
And it don't always all go like that, but I gotta hand it to those dudes, man. They have some big fucking balls to come to Hollywood to do that, to move your band down there. You know how hard it is to have a band. Everyone's fighting over food, dude. Everyone's got
Right.
like, $10 each, and you're trying to go to the Rainbow and shit, and you're fucking
Right.
broke, you're broken hungover on Sunday, and you have no food, no water, no nothing. And all you
Right.
got is a place to fucking sleep and shit. And those guys did it. Same way like Guns N' Roses. I mean, those fucking I was reading this article the other day about them, and they call it was called a "To Hell and Back" tour or something. These guys go on the road hitchhiking. That's
Wow.
that is heavy.
Yeah.
Let's hit the road. No,
Yeah.
nothing. They're like they're up in Oregon and shit, and it's snowing, freezing and stuff. I could only imagine. They're like dragging their gear.
That's insane. Yeah, that is
Totally insane, but you got to. I mean, look at the camaraderie that built like by
yeah.
going through the experience, right?
Yeah. And yeah, they changed the world. They changed the music world. It's
Oh
amazing.
man, what a record that they made.
Yeah. Yeah, that was insane. Um, wow. That's cool. It's really interesting finding out about yeah, all these nuances, all these things I had no idea about, like all the background, the beginnings. It's fascinating to me to learn all of
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it gets told in a nutshell every now and then by some other people that are doing interviews and shit like that. But it's a pretty interesting story, because you don't hear it every day. And I understand why it doesn't, because you only have so much time to promote, what you're trying to promote at the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. So, but again, I'm gonna write a book. I got pictures like you don't even know, and it's stuff from the bus and stuff from like when we just started out and when I was a little kid and all that stuff. And I think it's going to be a pretty decent read.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
Uh,
lot of fun.
yeah,
It's
sign
going to be like a lot more pictures and stuff like that because it's going to be loaded with pictures. And
cool.
again, I'm an art director, a graphic designer, so it's going to be pretty badass the way I do it and shit like that. I got some comps I've already done and shit like that, and some things I want to do with it. But I got a lot of plans, and stuff. But I'm 60 years old now, and I was the youngest cat in the band, me and Ron Fresky. And I'm still alive and kicking. I'm full of energy and stuff like that. Getting back to the little setback we had, I've never had a setback like that in my life. I played with the same guys for 35 years, and we never did shit like that to each other.
Yeah.
We never fucked around like that and stuff. And so it's a whole different thing for me now and stuff. And it's a whole different thing for me to get used to. But I'll tell you what, there's more positives than the negatives. Because some of the people I met, again, like Chris Phillips, like Michael Shapiro, Paige, Julia, the guys, the people in my cast, Stephen Davis, Kelly Christian. I mean, Todd Kearns, and stuff. Keith St. John. I've known Keith for a while. I haven't met him before, but run into him a bunch of times. Les Warner. The people that I've met here in Vegas are fantastic people, man.
Nice.
I reach out to these guys every now and then arbitrarily. They'll reach out to me. We have a little laugh, watching a football game or something like that. And it just, passing pictures back and forth. And it's just a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of
Nice.
fun.
Well, I look forward to see what's going to come because I think it's going to be big and I think it's going to be super cool. So Jamey, thank you so very much for chatting with me this evening. This has been an absolute pleasure and an honor, truly. And for those of you watching, if you look in the description below, I've got links to Jamey's page. I've got links to Duran Duran Duran. Check them out.
Make sure you put Ronnie's page
Badass.
there too, ladybasqueen.com.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think I shared that link with you too. That's my partner in crime, Ronnie Wagner, and she's the bass player, and she's also my partner. And when her and I've been together for about 6 years now, and we've had a wonderful time together in music, as a couple, as being from the Bay Area, both of us, and moving here as transplants, and all the people that we meet together, we've had the most wonderful time. I mean, I can't. I'm a blessed man. That's all I gotta
nice.
say.
Nice. Very cool. Thank you so much, Jamey. This has been awesome.
Hey, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. That was awesome.
Thank you.